Benjamin Netanyahu, he announced that he was going to compress, reduce the Palestine question by negotiating all of these agreements with neighboring Arab countries, and then the Palestine question would vanish. What does vanish mean? What does vanish mean? It means the Gaza ghetto, the Gaza concentration camp, will just continue along its way, and the people left there to die. That's the goal, to leave the people there to die.
Yeah.
Well, the people refused to die. And now Israel has finally announced, and it's not me, because I know there are some people on Twitter and some people in this social media who are rushing to silence anyone who makes comparisons between Israeli conduct and Nazis. So, as we proceed, I hope the social media police will bear in mind it's not me, it's Israel's defense minister who has just announced that they will not allow any electricity.
Mm-hmm.
They will not allow any water.
Mm-hmm.
They will not allow any food. They will not allow any fuel into Gaza.
Yeah.
Now, bear in mind, Benjamin Netanyahu announced yesterday that Israelis should be prepared for a long war. If you put those two statements together, now I ask the social media police to bear in mind, it's not me. I am simply quoting from the Israeli leadership. If you put those two statements together, what it means is there will be no food, no water, no electricity, and no fuel allowed in Gaza for a long time.
Yeah.
So, what do we conclude from that? I conclude that the Israeli government has finally figured out the final solution to the Gaza problem. That's what I conclude, I infer from the information that's being broadcast by this government.
Yeah. Complete and total genocide.
And endorsed not only by President Biden, not only today endorsed by former President Barack Obama, endorsed by the whole squad, so-called, except for Cori Bush, or the squad members who have issued statements so far, except for Cori Bush. And it has to be said that Bernie Sanders has gone along with it.
Yeah.
Now, during his campaign, Bernie Sanders did say the blockade of Gaza has to be lifted. He did say it, and I want to acknowledge it. But right now, he is a moral disgrace. He disgraces himself, and I don't say this with any glee. I say it with disgust.
Yeah, yeah.
He's often said, he doesn't flaunt it, but when asked, he said that a large part of his family was wiped out in Poland during World War II. A large part of his family was wiped out in Poland during World War II. And yet, not only has he not criticized President Biden's sending of arms promiscuously to Ukraine, in which they land in the hands of Nazis tracing their descendancy back to World War II. But now he's lent his name to the genocidal assault on the people of Gaza. It is a disgrace. It fills me with such disgust at how cowardly he is or has become.
I got to tell. Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead, Professor. I have his comment up here. I just wanted to show you really quickly. I absolutely condemn the horrifying attack on Israel by Hamas and Islamic Jihad. There is no justification for this violence, and innocent people on both sides will suffer hugely because of it. It must end now. So that was his, yeah.
No justification. No justification. A constant people immured, interned in a concentration camp for 20 years.
Yeah.
And they're trying to break out. There's no justification for what's happening. No.
Yeah. At least Professor Finkelstein, he didn't say unprovoked, though. He didn't say unprovoked like everybody else. Unprovoked. I'm like, are we to pretend that there's no blockade going on in Gaza? Are we to pretend that Gaza citizens, Palestinians, aren't murdered on a regular basis in Gaza? It's mind-blowing. Please continue.
The only exceptions, because they're honorable exceptions, the only exceptions I am aware of are, first of all, Dr. Cornel West, who issued a statement yesterday, which I found perfectly reasonable. And there are a couple of Israelis, Gideon Levy, for those of you who have an opportunity to read his statement today, and a real person of the left, Claire Daly.
Oh, yeah.
She issued a statement yesterday, and it warms you, even in the midst of all of this torment and anguish. It just warms you in its humanity. She said, Ursula von der Leyen, preacher in the EU, she said, we all stand behind Israel. And Claire Daly said, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You're not an elected official. We haven't taken a stand on it. And then she said, quote, speaking directly to Ursula von der Leyen, if you have nothing constructive to say, just shut up. And that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel with Bernie. And that's how I feel with AOC. And that's how I feel with Ilhan Omar. You have nothing constructive to say. You just say what will buy you brownie points